This was filmed by Robert McGowan, who owned a grocery store in Renwick, Iowa, and also was a scout leader there for many years. I am now confident these scenes are of the trip by 200 Boy Scouts from northwest Iowa's Prairie Gold Council to the 1950 National Jamboree in Valley Forge, Pennsylvania. I know from my grandparents that my great-uncle Bob took some Renwick Boy Scouts to one, but I still have not found his name in any formal documentation. However, the scenes you see here match two diaries published in the Algona, Upper Des Moines, and also the Kossuth County newspapers. Hopefully someone can find a Renwick Times to confirm Uncle Bob's presence also. The trip started in Fort Dodge, Iowa on Friday, June 23, 1950, for a 2-day training camp at Lincoln Elementary School. But the campsite was rained out that night, and the scouts were picked up and moved inside the junior high on Saturday. In some of the early scenes, the scouts do seem to be soaked. On Sunday, they had breakfast and attended church services at the Presbyterian Church. Some parents attended to see the boys off on the train to Chicago. Today we would use the term charter tour, as it seems like the scouts from around the country were organized onto dedicated trains, though each group had a slightly different itinerary, probably to prevent overcrowding at popular tourist sites, with 47,000 scouts attending. The diaries show they changed trains in Chicago, and then stopped in Detroit for a tour of the Ford Motor Company factory and Edison's museum, and then they woke up in Niagara Falls on June 27th. Their stop at Niagara Falls included a ride on the Maid in the Mist, and they also saw the Canadian Horseshoe Falls, the American Falls, Devil's Gulch, and Whirlpool Rapids. They woke up on June 28th on the train entering New York City. They saw Grant's Tomb, the Empire State Building, St. John's Cathedral, the United Nations, and on a ferry ride they saw the Statue of Liberty. They arrived at Valley Forge at 6 p.m. June 29th. On June 30th, they heard the opening ceremony, which included President Harry Truman. The diary says the Texas boys sold horned toads at $15 each in the international section, saying that they were prehistoric animals found in a hidden valley, and the valley was only known to them. The next day they were selling cockleburs to the city kids as porcupine eggs, guaranteed to hatch in 21 days, at $1.25. On July 1st, some scouts visited Philadelphia to Christ Church, the Betsy Ross House, Independence Hall, and the Liberty Bell. I think that's the Betsy Ross House, as the name on the building to the right Burger Brothers matches some old pictures online. That's probably Independence Hall next. The Scouts spent some time in the recreation tents. They included television sets, which were on from 9 a.m. until 11 p.m. They saw musical programs, baseball games, and professional wrestling, among other things. On July 4th, they heard Dwight D. Eisenhower, who was president of Columbia University at that time. They write they had to use binoculars to see his features. After the speech, there was a pageant showing the growth of the nation and the part Boy Scouts played in this growth. Fireworks followed, lasting a half an hour. The Scouts cooked all their own meals over charcoal stoves. Every boy got to do every job that was required. They cooked by patrol units, cooking for about 10 people every meal. That looks like Uncle Bob. July 6th was spent getting ready to leave. That night they had a closing ceremony commemorating the camp. The Scouts arrived in Washington, D.C. on July 7th. They saw the Smithsonian Institution, the Washington Monument, Mount Vernon, Arlington National Cemetery, including the amphitheater and the tomb of the unknown soldier, the Lincoln Memorial, the White House, the Library of Congress, and the Capitol. They left Washington, D.C. at 9 p.m. on July 7th and continued straight to Fort Dodge, stopping only to change engines in Chicago and another stop in Waterloo, Iowa. They arrived in Fort Dodge at 4:30 a.m., July 9th, where their parents were waiting.